So good afternoon, everybody again. My name is AJ Ehrenstein. I'm Dean of Beyond Barnard. I'm excited to be joined by the experiential education team, who you're going to meet in just a moment. Our topic this afternoon is an introduction to student employment at Barnard. So we'll be covering topics like financial aid that includes work study. We'll be covering the differences between federal work study and Barnard College job. We'll be talking about processes that you'll need to be able to navigate in order to start working at Barnard. And we'll be talking about some of the folks that are here to support you along the way as you explore campus employment opportunities at the college, including, of course, virtual work study positions that are available as we are navigating this virtual time. So we'll go for about an hour. Again, this presentation is being recorded. So if you can keep your questions to the chat, you're welcome to chat me directly, or if it's a question that you think the entire group might have, you're welcome to chat it to everyone. Thanks to those of y'all who are on video, that's totally fine. To those of y'all who are not on video, also totally fine. It is up to you. So let's get going. First of all, for those of you who have already been coming to Beyond Barnard presentations throughout NSOP week, thanks for coming back. We've been through fellowships this week already. We did a pre-health orientation with Amanda Dye, who is our health professions lead. This morning, we had a great session, general introduction to Beyond Barnard. All of these, again, are recorded and available in the NSOP courseworks page. Nikki Youngblood-Giles talked about 4+1 combined pathways with Columbia University this afternoon at 2. Hope some of you were able to join that presentation that just wrapped up. We're at student jobs today, and tomorrow we will say this several times throughout this presentation, but I really hope that you'll take time tomorrow afternoon to join my colleague Brianna Roman and the advising and programs team for a great presentation about creating your first college resume using Beyond Barnard's best practices. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to kick it off by talking about Beyond Barnard's approach to student employment. How do we think about jobs on campus at Barnard, virtual jobs, in-person jobs? Why are they important? What can you get out of them? And how can you take the jobs that you're doing on campus and translate them into whatever you're doing, both as a student and afterwards as an alumna? Like I said, we'll talk about how you can understand work study options. We'll talk about the differences between Barnard College job and federal work study. I'll hand it off to Bruce at that point. So Camille will take that. I'll hand it off to Bruce Ross, who's going to talk about navigating processes, including filling out important paperwork that can make you, that can get you eligible to actually get you paid. We are always really excited to get you paid. It's like our favorite thing in the world. But we need your help to fill out paperwork to make sure that we can actually get money in your hands once you are employed on campus. And then we will talk about your next steps. We'll take questions. We'll talk about our dogs, I imagine. I don't have a dog. I wish I had a dog. We'll talk about your dogs, and then we'll send you off into the afternoon. So to start with the Beyond Barnard approach to student employment, and to get that done, I thought I would hand it off to our colleagues on the experiential education team first and have them introduce, or in some cases reintroduce themselves. And just like this morning, we'll start with Camille Hall. Hello, Camille.
Hello, AJ. Hi, everyone. My name is Camille Hall. I am the Associate Director of Experiential Education here. Something just a little bit about me. I grew up in Harlem. I'm actually born in Jamaica, grew up in Harlem. So I grew up less than 30 blocks away from the Columbia University, Barnard College community. So if there are any island folk or any Harlem, Manhattan folk on the line, we definitely got a connection. We definitely got to meet. Really excited to delve deeper into the presentation today, and I'll stop there.
Awesome. Zena.
Hi, y'all. I'm Zena Jones. I'm the internship program coordinator at Beyond Barnard. I work with the internship program to help you get funding for internships. Also developing programming to help you navigate your internship. Like Camille, I also grew up in Harlem, but now I am on Planet Brooklyn. So anybody from Brooklyn in the house?
Zena, you know you and I are neighbors. Amazing. Bruce.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce Ross, Assistant to the Director. My job at Beyond Barnard is pretty much dealing with everything student employment, especially with Barnard Works, which is the system where you can apply for jobs, get hired, do your timesheets, and get paid. And I was just off camera for a few seconds because I had to let my dog out. So
Bruce has one of the best dogs on the Beyond Barnard crew. We're not going to lie. In terms of pet Zoom bombings, you've kept him pretty much off screen, but I mean, pretty great. All right, next up, Haiti. Hello.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Haiti Crespo. I'm the department assistant for Beyond Barnard. I've been with the college for about close to 15 years, and I normally sit at the front desk checking everyone in, but that's not happening. And I also work closely with Bruce, reviewing and helping him upload all your paperwork into Barnard Works.
And everybody, I am again AJ Ehrenstein. I'm the Dean of Beyond Barnard. I grew up in New York as well, went to high school in the city, went to college down in the great state of Virginia, lived in DC for 2 years, lived in Chicago for 7 years where I completed a master's at U of C. Any Chicagoans, always give a shout. What's up, DC? I lived in Northeast. It was great. Then I lived in Tenleytown. That was great too. Virginia. I haven't lived in the deep South. I haven't lived in the West, but guys, life is long and you never know. And believe it or not, I know this is a shock to Barnard students always, but there are other places in the world than New York City. Okay, so let's get underway. Let's hand it off to Camille and talk about Barnard being a great place to work. Camille, take it away. And whenever you need me to advance the slides, let me know.
All right, great. So we're looking at this great picture of Barnard on the campus, and it states here, Barnard is a great place to work. And I want to dig a little deeper into why it's such a great place to work. There are so many great people all in a convenient location. Working in Barnard, you're going to find supervisors who are not only experts in their field, but who are really eager to provide each of you with great learning, great professional learning experiences. Working at Barnard allows you to work with various individuals, skillful and talented people, and it also provides you with a great opportunity to contribute to the larger Barnard community as a student employee. Next slide. And all of this, working at Barnard is a great place to work, even remotely. So all of this still translates to working at Barnard remotely. As we enter a unique fall semester, as obviously there's no physical on-campus jobs, however, remote work is available. Remote work study is available. Typically we have 750 students who work on campus annually. And as a student employee, you're able to work up to 15 hours per week. Something that you'll hear us talk about a lot is the fact that you are a student first. You'll hear this throughout the presentation, that you are a student first, and because of that, your supervisors, you'll find that your supervisors offer you flexibility, and there's a certain level of understanding as a student employee at Barnard College. Next. All right, so this slide here digs a little deeper into like why student employment. Student employment, getting a student job. Obviously, you get to earn wages to offset your costs. I'm remembering when I was a college student, went to a state university school at New Paltz. I don't know if there's any Hudson Valley people online, but getting a student job was my priority. I definitely needed wages to help me with my indirect costs. Or just pocket money just to live life as a college student. So that's really important. I know that's really important for a lot of you. Something that's also important is obviously developing transferable skills and experiences. These skills consist of administrative skills, teamwork and collaboration, communication and promotion skills. And these transferable skills, you take them anywhere and you build on it. I can recall when I was at SUNY New Paltz, I believe my first job was a work study job. I worked at the financial aid office, and those teamwork and collaboration skills that I developed at the financial aid office, I was able to take that to the career services office, and that also I was able to transfer those skills to various internships that I had at SUNY New Paltz before I graduated. So transferable skills is exactly how the word defines. It transfers and it builds wherever you go, in the next step. As you're building these skills, you get to build a network and professional references. And also, you have the great opportunity to collaborate with faculty and jobs that align with your intellectual and career goals. Some key numbers that we just wanna highlight is, again, like I mentioned, typically 750 student employees on campus, 1.1 million annual student wages are earned at Barnard. 40% of students receive financial aid, which is something that we really like to highlight, and also more than 800 student employment advising appointments. So what that means is that the students on the Barnard community, they are taking advantage of the various advising opportunities that Beyond Barnard offers. And we're really looking forward and really are confident that all of you who are on this call, 223 of you, will be doing the same. Next. So the value of your work transcends your job description. Yeah, so just to build on what I mentioned before about working at Barnard, keep in mind that your job description is just a snapshot of what you will gain from your job experience. There are so many overarching skills that you will develop and come to value as a growing professional. On this slide here, where we have value and skills, we offer some examples. There are 6 pictures here, and just to briefly touch on the 6, some of those skills, or as I say, overarching skills that you will gain through your job experience here at Barnard is one is that is teamwork. So for example, small photo, but there's a group that it highlights our peer career advisors. They're taking place in a team building activity. I believe it's like a fun group paint session. And I'll talk a little bit more about our peer career advisors, but they are an awesome team that provide all of you with preparation for student jobs and your career trajectories. Another skill is leadership. The student who is in this photo, Elena, she worked at Vote Run Lead, which is a great nonprofit organization that trains women to run for office and to win. So that was a great experience for Elena as an intern. Another skill that you will develop as a student worker here at Barnard is communications, communication skills. In this photo, you see a group of Barnard students who are speaking fellows. In this photo, I believe they're engaged in a session called Say What You Mean. And our speaking fellows, they are specially trained students that help their peers around different forms of public speaking, whether that's presenting in class or public speaking, advocacy, activism. This is what they're engaged in. Another skill is analysis. You'll see in this photo, Sierra, physics major 2018, in the lab, doing work that requires analyzing data. If I'm not mistaken, it's definitely, I'm thinking if this was like an SRR student, but I'm not sure. But she's definitely engaged in work that requires her to analyze data and how to interpret that. Something else skills that you'll develop for various jobs here is teaching and mentoring. The photo that you see is Sophie, environmental science student, 2020. I believe she is engaged in a mentoring or engaged with students at the Jerome L. Green Science Center, where they do a lot of outreach to youth throughout New York City. So you can see that she's engaged in teaching students something there. And then also budgeting. We definitely a skill is learning how to manage your money and learning all the different tools to become financially savvy. So Financial Fluency is a program that offers financial professionals and panelists to come in and offer you regular programming on how to basically like become very fluent in your finances. So these are some of the overarching skills that you will develop as you are, you know, partaking in different professional experience here at Barnard. Next slide. So as I mentioned, PCAs. Our PCAs are such a great team of individuals that all of you have to get to meet on campus. So to get started as your journey as a student worker, PCAs are your first stop. So what is a PCA? A PCA is a peer career advisor, peer career advisors. They are specially trained to meet with you one-on-one and share about career exploration, resume prep, cover letter prep, navigating and gathering information for your applications that many of you are going to be involved in. In addition, what I found with PCAs is that they tend to have some cool insider tips just because they are a very, I guess, well-networked, a group of students that are involved in different networks. So they tend to offer some really cool insider tips to their peers. So like it states here on the slide, not long ago, they were where you are. All questions are welcome. And our PCA that we've highlighted is Noah West. He's been with us for several years right now, and he's been very awesome in regards to contributing to the PCA team. All right, so a number of you who are on the call may be eligible for work study, or you have already confirmed that you have work study. So we just want to go through understanding your work study options. So understanding your work study and financial aid. And this is a very important slide. I know the slide's a little wordy, but it's packed with a lot of really, really important information. So I'm going to go through it, and then feel free if you have questions later on at the end of this presentation. Don't be afraid to, don't be shy to ask. So what characterize Barnard college jobs and federal work study positions at Barnard? All work study is a form of financial aid that is available to students with identified need. So you would want to check your financial aid award letter. So for those of you who filled out that FAFSA form, that form is what enabled the college to determine if you will be eligible for financial aid. Be able for federal work study. Keep in mind that remote work is available to all BCJ and federal work study students. So there's no differences of like, oh, if I have BCJ, remote work is not available, or so forth. Both BCJ and federal work study students, remote work is available. Also, BCJ and federal work study both create opportunities for students to work to access their wages. So what does that mean? When I was a college student, I had federal work study. And the way that I was able to access my federal work study grant, I had to obtain work to earn my wages. So basically it's the same, it still continues on today in regards to federal work study. Work study is not paid out as a grant, okay? So if you see, let's say you had a federal work study grant of $2,000, you don't get that as a grant. You access that by funding that, by getting work. Any wage that you earn on campus will count towards your BCJ or federal work study. Internship grants provided by Beyond Barnard also count. You can identify jobs on Barnard Works, which my colleague will get deeper into that platform. And Beyond Barnard provides advising on student employment. You most likely, if you're coming in for advising for student employment, that will be myself, where we can have a one-on-one or our group session. Columbia casual jobs are open to Barnard students, but they do not count towards your package, to your financial aid package. And we'll talk a little bit more about Columbia casual jobs, just in case there are any questions. All students are capped at 15 hours of campus work per week throughout the academic years, okay? So so no more than 15 hours of campus work throughout the academic years, okay? You can have more than one job, but we strongly encourage you to take your time and ease into the work to balance your schedule. Because as we stated before, you are a student first. So now just to kind of like separate, so you have an understanding of what the difference is maybe with Barnard College jobs and federal work study. With Barnard College jobs only, the funding is paid only by Barnard, okay? All BCJ eligible jobs take place at Barnard. So again, BCJ jobs, the funding comes directly from Barnard, and BCJ jobs can only take place at Barnard, at campus. I guess in this time it will be like virtually on campus. With federal work study only, its funding is paid partially by the federal government. If you're a federal work study student, you have the opportunity to participate in off-campus community partnership work, where we have organizations that are part of a cost share agreement, and they offer you with jobs off-site. We also have, for federal work study, you're able to select Columbia federal work study jobs. So we have Columbia partners that offer jobs exclusively to federal work study students. So that is also an opportunity. And then also for federal work study only, there's NSOP. We have this year NSOP resume drop for first years on federal work study. So if you haven't done so already, or I'm not sure if it's still available, those of you who are federal work study eligible, you were able to share your resume to be included in a bulk file that's available to various employers.
Camille, can I hop in just a second and provide some answers to some of the questions and give you a chance to take a drink too?
Thank you.
I know, man. After all these presentations, I hardly have a palette left. A very important. So this question came in privately to me, but I think it's important, and I want to clarify for everyone. The money that you get from Barnard for your work study jobs is yours to spend as you wish. It does not go directly to tuition unless that is how you would like to spend that money. You can use your Barnard College jobs, your federal work study, your Columbia casual wages, and any other wages that you make either as part of Barnard or as part of an external job that has no affiliation with Barnard to offset your costs as you wish. This is a question that we can definitely add to the bullet points as well. A question came in about whether the amount of jobs at Barnard that are not a part of work study changed drastically due to the pandemic. We're going to talk a little bit about babysitting and bartending positions that are traditionally more available during normal times, as there are more individuals who are interested in hosting events where Barnard bartenders have typically served in event support capacities. Obviously, there are fewer events. What we're seeing right now is that in Barnard Works, there are an increased number of off-campus opportunities around tutoring and supporting in-home education right now. I see some of y'all nodding. I assume this makes sense to all of you, right? More children are home, more children are getting their education at home, so we're seeing a slight uptick in tutoring roles. On campus, we have taken steps to try to offset a decrease in job availability by creating new supportive positions called preceptors for upper class students. Our intention is to place those students into those jobs, freeing up other administrative jobs for first years so that you can more readily apply to positions that should continue to become available across the next couple of weeks. I'm sure Camille will mention this and drive it home again. Barnard Works does not have every job that's going to be available all year on the platform right now. If you are interested in finding jobs on Barnard Works, and we'll link that in a second, you should be checking back regularly, and we'll talk about other strategies for identifying offices that regularly hire students. Last thing to say here, just in response to one of the questions that came in, There are several large offices that perennially hire a lot of students. I know development this year is excited to be hiring a lot of students. The library typically hires many. Admissions hires lots of students. These are the questions that you can also handle with Camille in one-on-one advising. And the way that you'll access that one-on-one advising on student jobs is by scheduling in Handshake once the platform is open to you next week after you finalize your enrollment. So that's some of the questions that came in the last couple of minutes. I'll hand it back to Camille. And I think you need a slide at this point. Is that right?
Yes.
Great. And I love Nova.
All right, so understanding on-campus opportunities. So on-campus opportunities, there is a range of on-campus opportunities. Barnard, we have a number of different administrative offices. We also have opportunities that are research assistants jobs where working, let's say, in a lab, or teacher assistant jobs, TA jobs, where you have the opportunity to, let's say, work with a faculty member, and also peer-to-peer support roles. So this is just like some general categories of the on-campus opportunities. In the photo, you'll find, this is Dr. Klein. She is the director of the Toddler Center here at Barnard. So just to let you know that these photos are not stock. Every photo that you see are real members of the Barnard community. Next slide. Understanding off-campus federal work study. So like I mentioned before, those of you who have federal work study, Barnard, we have organizations that participate in the Federal Work Study Community-Based Partnership Program. And these are just some examples of nonprofit organizations that have partnered with us and offer some really cool opportunities to students off campus. A lot of them are relatively close to campus, so this does provide some convenience for a number of students. Gender Amplified is a nonprofit organization that was founded by one of our alum. I believe her name is Ebony, forgetting her last name, but she does some really great work in regards to, I believe, like music production. We have STEM from Dance, which blends science and dance. The Bridge does some really cool work, I guess social services work not too far away from Barnard. The JCC, which is not too far away. So this is just some examples of some of the cool organizations that have partnered with us. And we have a lot more that are returning partners, and we are gathering new partnerships with other partners to diversify the opportunities that you all will have. Next slide. Understanding Columbia jobs. So I mentioned briefly about Columbia casual jobs. So something that I want all of you to be aware of is as you're spreading a wide net to seek out different opportunities, there are opportunities across the street as well. Those opportunities can consist of on campus in Columbia's various departments. But let's keep in mind that those casual jobs that you'll find at Columbia University, one, they're either being paid directly through the department at Columbia University, or they are federal work study jobs at Columbia through a partnership that I have mentioned before. The federal work study jobs at Columbia, you will find on Barnard Works, okay? So that does make those jobs easily accessible to you. In regards to the casual employment, that requires where you inquire about that availability for casual employment. I find that with students, it tends to be, let's say, word of mouth, or a number of Barnard students take classes at Columbia and are very proactive and will just seek out work on campus. Also, I find that PCAs have also offered some insider tips to where to find work at Columbia as well. So just to give you a little bit information about that. Next slide. Understanding independent contractor jobs. All right, so when you get familiar with Barnard Works, you're going to see various categories. You're going to see categories for on-campus jobs, federal work study, off-campus paid, you'll see unpaid off-campus, paid off-campus jobs, and then you also see category for babysitting and bartending. The jobs that are off-campus paid and babysitting and bartending are considered independent contracted jobs, meaning that if you pursue these opportunities, you are independently communicating with that particular employer and determining what your wages will be. Barnard College doesn't offer any recommendations or endorsements. As an independent contractor, you and the employer are simply using Barnard Works as a job board site to pursue work. So just want to make sure that you understand that. Babysitting is something that traditionally has been a really great way for students that are looking for wages that are, I guess, work that is flexible and trying to find work that can fit into their schedule. You will have some students that pursue babysitting. Also, bartending. Bartending typically consists of students that will have to go through a certain training course. And then it really consists of like more so like party help. Not necessarily like bartending, like you're bartending at a bar. It's more so party help, let's say with faculty members that, maybe live nearby, or party assistance in the nearby community. So just want to let you know about that. And if you have any questions about just understanding more about independent contractor jobs, you're welcome to meet with me one-on-one, and I can just give you more insight around that.
So again, I want to just hop in here and answer a few of the questions that came in. So first, to work backwards, independent contractor jobs. So this is bartending, babysitting. There's some short-term project-based work that's posted on Barnard Works, folks that need help categorizing books, maybe tutoring work. None of this counts towards BCJ or Federal Work Study awards. Independent contractor positions, it's all wages that are available to you. You can use them, but they will not count towards your financial aid package. The difference between Barnard Works and Handshake, which is another question that was upvoted a couple of times, is essentially the following. Barnard Works is only campus jobs, including Federal Work Study and BCJ, and these independent contractor short-term positions. So bartending, babysitting, tutoring, tasks, some administrative support roles, jobs that where individuals are looking for students for a short-term independent contractor employment, plus all of the work study. Handshake is your front door to Beyond Barnard advising, resources, events, and programs. It's also where almost all internship positions, and eventually when you get down to it, full-time positions are posted. Handshake includes a much bigger, broader universe in terms of the services and resources that are there. Barnard Works is where you want to go if you want to make sure that you are finding positions that will either A, help you access wages in your Federal Work Study or BCJ awards, or these independent contractor short-term positions. All right, so let's keep going. And thanks for sending these questions as they come in. I do want to say, by the way, we have taken the decision this fall that we will not be holding the bartender training. This is really due to the fact that there are very, very few bartender positions even being posted, and the training requires in-person mixology techniques that we just basically can't facilitate. We will host the training again in the future, but right now you can focus, if you're interested in independent contractor roles, on tutoring and babysitting roles that will continue to be posted in Barnard Works. Those two types of work do not require additional in-person training.
And I believe that's it on my end, AJ.
Thank you, Camille. Appreciate you. Going to hand it off to Bruce now to talk about the process of actually helping you get paid for the work that you will be doing on campus. Bruce, sir, take it away.
Thank you, AJ, and hopefully Haiti can bounce in here if she has anything to clarify with these slides. So this is the fun part. So searching for a job, this is what you can find on Barnard Works. Barnard on-campus opportunities, federal work-study community partner jobs, bartending, babysitting jobs, tutoring and other project-based jobs, which AJ was just talking about, are more like the independent contractor. They're all broken down into different categories on Barnard Works. So be sure to look into the different ones. Even if you're looking for an on-campus job, I feel like it's really worthwhile looking at the off-campus opportunities, because there might be something there that's really up your alley. What you're not going to find on Barnard Works is Columbia casual jobs, which Camille mentioned, and internships. Internships are generally on Handshake, and that's where you would go for those. We want you to keep in mind that navigating an institution takes time. So you're looking for a job, finding a job, getting hired is not going to happen overnight. It's also not always just handed to you at Barnard. It can take some work. You'll have to figure out the system, but we're here to help you. So just email us or make an appointment, or see a PCA, and we can help you with that navigating and help you find that job. So we want you to tap into all the Beyond Barnard resources. Like I just mentioned, the PCAs. Eventually you'll be making appointments with counselors, but you can look at our websites, look at all our YouTube videos. There's just tons of information there that's going to help you. And again, schedule with PCAs and full-time staff. I highly recommend, especially for first years, that you make an appointment with the PCA, because it's another student who's been there. They can really help you get your resume in shape, give you advice about how things work at Barnard and what kind of jobs might be good for you. Okay, AJ. Getting paid and your forms. All right. The first time you work at Barnard, we're going to need you to do all of your employment forms. That includes the I-9, which is a federal form that verifies your ability to work in the US. And this requires some appropriate documentation to back it up. And there's a list of those on the I-9, and we can help you figure that out if you're having trouble with any of those. All of this we're now accepting remotely, so you can email it to us, and we also have a new friendly form where all of this stuff exists in a Google form with instructions, and you can download all of these forms into that one Google form. The second form is the W-4, which is the tax withholding form. This tells the IRS how much money you want them to withhold from your income if you anticipate paying taxes, or if you don't anticipate paying taxes, that you can claim exempt. The Wage Theft Protection Act form, the WTPA, that's a state form in the state of New York. It's simply a form that says you know how much you're making so that your employer cannot steal from you. You know what you're expecting to get in your paycheck. And direct deposit, which is something that we highly, highly recommend while we're all living and working remotely. It really helps you get paid. There's a couple of advantages. Number one being that you're not relying on the United States postal system and how slow things are these days. In addition, your money goes directly into your bank account, and usually it's there the night before. So when you sign up for direct deposit, it's just a win-win situation. Okay. So some tips to help you strategize. Applying to a job obviously is more than just sending the same resume to every listing. And then this is why I think it's really great to work with the PCA, because they can help you focus on what that job is and what things on your resume will really stand out to the potential employer. So you want to tailor your resume and your other supporting documents to sort of speak to the individual employer that you are applying to. You can also build relationships throughout Barnard at administrative offices, at all the different offices. Reach out to people, let them know who you are and what you're interested in, because opportunities come up that way through personal relationships often. Ensure that you are saving time to be a student first. I mean, I think this is huge for first-year students at Barnard, to really take your time to see what the academic load is like, really figure out how much time you have available to put to earning extra money. For some students, it's no problem, but for other students, it's really a juggling match, a juggling event, and it takes some time to figure that all out. So definitely, we encourage you to take the time and be a student first. I think really important now during the pandemic is to not suffer in silence. This is not rocket science. This is just student employment. This is just working on campus. This is just making some money. There's no need to stress about it. And if you're feeling stressed out about it, just reach out to us. Make an appointment with the PCA and talk about it. Send us an email and tell us what's going on with you and what difficulties you're having, and we can point you in the right direction. Just email us at beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. Next. Next steps.
So that's our general overview to campus jobs. And I really want to end the formal part of our remarks here by emphasizing the last thing that Bruce said. We are here as a resource to you. For those of you who saw the presentation about Beyond Barnard this morning, we're a team of 16, and all of us are dedicated to helping to facilitate opportunities that are important to you to be successful here at Barnard and whatever you do afterwards. The easiest way to get in touch with us with questions is beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. I know there's always a lot of excitement during NSOP about gaining access to Handshake and scheduling appointments. Peer career advisors actually aren't available to schedule until the second week of classes. So you're not missing out on anything, I promise you. You'll begin to have access to Handshake next week after your enrollment is confirmed. Then you'll be automatically populated by the registrar in the system, and you'll be able to access Handshake via single sign-on, or AKA your uni. For those of you who need the link to Handshake, just so that you can add it to your favorites right now, I'm going to put that into the chat and have been answering questions throughout. I want to go through some of the questions, and please, again, we're all here for you right now. We have another 13 minutes in case you want to chat other questions to us. Let's address Isabella's question. To access Barnard College jobs on Barnard Works, do we look at on-campus opportunities on Barnard Works? That is correct. You should be looking at on-campus opportunities in Barnard Works to find jobs that are posted in administrative units and sometimes research jobs as well. And I'll emphasize that more jobs will be posted as we get into the start of the academic year and administrative departments turn their attention from getting ready for students to arrive and classes to begin to actually doing work and hiring students. So again, especially this time of year and this kind of in-between NSOP before the first week of class, things can look a little slow on Barnard Works. And as we get into the semester, more opportunities begin to be posted. If you have a Barnard College job as part of your work study, it's important to emphasize, I've gotten this privately from a couple of folks too, so I want to make sure to address it. You are not obligated to work. So what Camille said is that work study is not paid out as a grant. You have access to wages via work. You're not obligated to access those wages. Many students decide that they might actually not work a Barnard College job, on-campus job, and instead potentially find a more highly remunerative job as a babysitter or potentially as a paid intern at an organization in New York City. Some of those types of work pay more than on-campus jobs, which typically for first years will start at around $15. $15 is minimum wage. Many administrative jobs, especially for first years, will begin at $15 per hour. It's minimum wage in New York City. If you are remote, the kinds of jobs that you can anticipate to find will be administrative supportive jobs. You may be reading emails, you may be responding to emails on behalf of administrative units, you may be processing documents, you may be helping to promote social media. The kinds of work that you might be doing can run from helping to design programs that are available to students, to doing filing, to doing systems work, to doing spreadsheet analysis, to working with offices to get some of the supportive services up and running that they need in order to get their work done. I wonder if any of my colleagues want to talk about other jobs that they know are typically available or the kinds of work that students tend to do in their on-campus jobs. You can even just talk about some of the folks that work for us here at Beyond Barnard.
Well, I think that there are a lot of, as Camille mentioned, a lot of student support jobs that people do, including our PCAs. They're all students at Barnard. The Writing Fellows, which is a large program. Those are all Barnard students who help other Barnard students. Out of the Dean of the college's office, or the Dean of Studies office, sorry, there's a huge tutoring program and peer-to-peer mentoring program. They hire just tons of Barnard students, all who are working with other Barnard students.
That is a great point, and I think it speaks to some of what Camille was talking about, getting to know the community more broadly. Something you should understand about work study at Barnard is that peer mentoring, peer support, creating supportive communities of learning and working together. It's a long tradition of these kinds of efforts in 7 siblings colleges. So the peer tutors, the Writing Fellows, the Speaking Fellows, the kinds of work that Bruce just mentioned through the Dean of Studies office as peer tutors. You'll see many types of work like this, and all of them will count towards your work study package.
AJ, can I just add one thing? Because you mentioned this. So your Barnard College job or your Federal Work Study Award is just an opportunity to earn that money. So like AJ said, if you don't earn that, or you want to work at Starbucks, you want to do something different, that's fine. There's no penalty, and you don't owe it back to the school at the end of the year if you don't earn it. And the other question that I saw was, when do you need to start working to earn your BCJ? If you want to take your time this semester and you want to wait until late in October, you can start looking for a job late in October. If you find that academics are really difficult and you're having a hard time balancing everything, you can wait until next semester to start working and start earning that money. So it's really flexible, and we just keep emphasizing you're a student first, and don't let the student employment stuff bog you down.
So continue to answer some of the questions via the chat, and forgive me if I want to reiterate, if I'm not able to get to your question, please email me right away, beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. That's me and 2 of our great support staff, Claire and Eric, and we'll get to your messages as quickly as we can. We're really fast. You're welcome to check it out. I got tons of emails this morning from the first presentation that I can't wait to get through. Some great questions. I do want to say, in general, remote work is something that we got used to under very crash circumstances back in March. So if you're outside of the East Coast time zone, if you're worried about working remotely, trust that positions continue to be created to help make sure that students, especially on work study, have access to the opportunity to work on campus. But also, and I want to emphasize this, tomorrow, Beyond Barnard is hosting our very first resume session open to first years. It's essentially our first big event, our first real content event, not just an orientation to services for the academic year. I believe it's at 2 p.m. It's in the schedule for NSOP, and I absolutely recommend that you attend. You'll get a kickstart to transitioning your resume from high school to college. Brianna Roman will be presenting on this topic, and having a really polished resume that is appropriate to collegiate environments is one big step you can take to being really compelling when you apply to jobs both in Barnard Works and ultimately internships and employment down the line. So getting a head start on that, it's a pretty pain-free hour. I've seen the presentation, it's pretty entertaining. So we hope that you'll do that, and then take your first version of the resume and have it revised by PCAs sometime later in September or October. But Bruce is right, be a student first. Make sure that you don't get behind in your courses because you're stressed out about finding work study. We absolutely understand the importance of wages. I think Camille's story about her need to find work on campus resonates with my own in graduate school. I know that I needed wages to support myself, but it is really important to ensure that your first couple of weeks are strong academically in the classroom. I'll finish off here with this question. Is there anything you need to prep for the resume session tomorrow? Absolutely not. We encourage you just to show up. This first week of Beyond Barnard programming is all about making it easy for you to begin to understand how to access our services and resources, and to provide you a couple of first insights into the kinds of programming that will be useful to you throughout your 4 years at Barnard. To give you a kind of broader sweep of the other types of programs that we offer, I'm going to paste our YouTube channel into the chat. And in your copious free time when you have nothing else to do, I'm sure, please feel free to take a look at some of the kinds of presentations and programs that we've put on. You'll see many, many more of these as we get into the start of the academic year. So we are right up against the end of our time. I want to keep good to my commitment to end on time. A 56-minute Zoom is better than an hour Zoom sometimes. Please, please, please send your questions to beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. I cannot be more clear about how excited we are to answer your questions. You guys really do give us energy, and we're so appreciative that you're back. It's so great to see all of your faces. This will not be a stressful process if you keep us in the loop. And again, I want to thank my dear colleagues, Bruce, Haiti, Zena, and Camille. Thanks for all that you do every day and for today's presentation. The slides along with the recording should be up, according to our NSOP colleagues, by this evening. So please take a look, and if you have questions, be in touch. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice evening. We'll talk to you soon.